Presentation skills are key. People who work for you represent your brand. You want them to present themselves and represent you in a certain way. While we understand this point, it would be nice if it all would be that easy, wouldn't it? We all have been in a situation where we needed to present but couldn't. Together with other speakers, I was sitting in the front, watching the audiences, facing the audiences. And my time to present drew closer. And the closer it came to for me to present, standing up and going to the microphone, the more I freaked myself out inside. My vision really got blurrer and blurrer. I couldn't face the audiences anymore. My voice started to tighten up. And I just simply wish I wouldn't be where I was. I was sitting there, scared. My stomach started churning around. I wish I would be in the audience, I thought. But I couldn't get away because I had to present. And my face flushed, really flushed, as I heard my name calling, and I suddenly had to stumble forward to the microphone. That was a long time back, but I remember it vividly. Now, who am I? Well, my name is Andreas Dorn. I'm the founder of Asia Mind Dynamics, a company that trains people in NLP. We are certified trainer in NLP, in hypnosis and hypnotherapy and other mind management tools. And once I learned NLP, everything got clear to me how I can manage my mind to present. So if you ever had a presentation fear, good evening to you. Welcome. Today in this Facebook Live, I'm going to share some tips and tricks on how to get rid of that fear that many of us feel inside when we are facing an audience in any situation. But before we get started, allow me to play my little video first. Also, here we go. Of course, as usual, the same game. First of all, I want to support those of you who fast right now because the holy month of Ramadan has started now. And I hope that some of you would join into this Facebook Live nevertheless. It's after the prayers time. Would be lovely to see some of you here, but if not, maybe after your prayers, maybe after you broke your fast with some great delicious food, you can join in. You can still watch that video at a later stage. For all the others, thank you very much for watching this video. If you are, or this Facebook Live, again, the same routine as usual. If you are somewhere with other people, don't play that video so loud because you might disturb people around you. If you are sitting in a car listening in a traffic jams are happening here in KL now during the fasting months, hey, watch that video. Don't watch the video. Let it play along the line while you are driving along, getting home safely and secured. That is the main reason. All right, so today we are speaking about the fear of presentations. People who have a fear of presentation, and it's really important, of course, that we talk about this one because it's a topic dear to me because I couldn't always present in front of a camera. I couldn't present in front of audience. But before we get started, hey, welcome everybody! Andreas here from Asia Mind Dynamics in our series on Let's Talk NLP, the fear of presentation. Welcome. All right. Okay. The fear of presentation. Oftentimes people say like it's the greatest fear across the world. People have more fear of presenting than paying their taxes. The number is actually wrong. It is not quite true, this little myth in the history of presentation, but it doesn't really matter. The fear of presentation is high, and I put the number out there. It's about 25% of people suffer suffer off anxiety. Suffer off anxiety having a fear of presentation, and it is scary. It is a great fear for many people, and it doesn't matter if it's 3/4 of the people who have that fear or if it's 25% who have that fear. If you are one of those people who are suffering from presentation fear, well, congratulations. It's not easy to get over it. Nothing really works, doesn't it? It is a scary, scary, scary feeling to have when you have to present and everything stops and you're starting off, and it's like it prevents you. The fear is so scary, it prevents you from I don't want to show that yet to you. It prevents you really of doing your thing. It prevents you from accelerating in your career. It prevents you from a good sale, from negotiation. It prevents you from meetings when you have to present the results of a project or a result of something, and you're standing in front of an audience and you gotta present, and you have to do it as a career advancing move, and the fear is gonna grip your heart, and it's so terrible. And you have to do it nevertheless. Because the impact of all this is the fear of standing in front of a crowd. Is always like that we have the fear of being judged. The fear of not being good enough. The fear of not being good enough. The fear of failure. The fear of a lifetime of negative upbringing. I'm going to talk more about this in a while, but it prevents you, that fear of presentation prevents you really of stepping up, of taking the risks you need to take sometimes to share an idea. Imagine you've got a great idea, you want to share something, or you want to prevent something from happening, to implement something in your organization. And the fear is gripping you. You can't raise your hand to say, no, you have a different idea. You have a more creative, maybe a more innovative idea. And then something is happening and it freaks you out. You can't step up. And you don't know exactly what to do to get over that fear. So it's preventing you from speaking about solutions that would be so required in many situations, but you simply can't do it. Because the fear is crippling you. It affects you professionally and it affects you personally. And doesn't matter how much impact you could have, something is holding you back. 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, it could be so much further. If only this fear wouldn't grip you all the time when you have to do something. And the challenge is really, wherever it's coming from, and there are studies around it, that once it starts to grip you, once you have an experience where things turn out bad, and then you feel badly about your presentation, that's exactly the time when you're starting to get into a vicious cycle of not being able to stand up again and again and again. And it gets stronger and stronger. You're strengthening your neurology of not being able to do the presentation that you need to do sometimes to become outstanding. And the challenge really is, well, there are presentation skills around, and it doesn't really matter if it's good or bad. It's useful to have those presentation skills, trainings. But imagine for a moment, I was there, and it was great. I learned all the technicalities of presentation skills training. of a presentation skills training, of how to arrange my slides, how to, face the camera. Whatever it needed to take, I was doing it, organizing the slides, I presented myself. But a training is always different. Hey, I got a certificate for this one, outstanding presentation skills training. Was good. But it doesn't help. And I remember the trainer vividly saying something. He said, if you don't know how to move because of fear is holding you back, you have to find a reason to move to the next spot. That is great if you know exactly how to move on. But if the fear is gripping, if the fear is tightening your heart, and you want to move on, how to get your body moving to the next stage is really, really terrible. It's so hard. Presentation fears can cripple you so badly that you even then, when you know those little tricks in your mind, it just doesn't help you at that point of time. See, it's happening to all of us, even to me before I learned NLP and Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Before I learned this, I had that fear, of standing in front of the crowd. It is really, really, really the hard part of it all, because you're standing in front of the crowd and there you have the feeling they're judging you. And you don't know how to manage a crowd. Doesn't matter if it's 5 people or 10 people or hundreds of people. How do you manage those crowds, The fear inside of us of them not liking us. The fear standing in front of the crowd of they're judging us. Now we can't manage all the people, of course, in a crowd. But they are feeling inside of us. It is true or false. It's most likely absolutely nonsense because a crowd is always there to listen to you at a certain level. But inside of us, we have the fear of being judged at that point of time. The fear of not being good enough. Whom do we compare again? But it's like coming from school time. When we were having this fear of failure in front of the teacher, we had to present something and we were not good enough. We had maybe the ringing of it in our mind of the teacher saying something to us earlier, or maybe it were our parents who told us, you are just simply not good enough. And when we start to stumble, how does it feel when we start to stumble? Automatically, we are kind of reconfirming in our mind, hey, I'm not good enough. I can't do it. And again, the world is shrinking down. The mind becomes a mind of its own. It's so hard to take charge of our mind at that point of time. And we don't know. And that's a fear of a lifetime of negative upbringing. Sorry to say that, all the parents out there who are watching it. It is really, 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 really heavy to get started when you hear all those negative comments from parents of us, of kids not being good enough. So here, I want to share with you some tips that we do have here. Some tips on what to do in order to really get a little bit better in the presentation overall, because so many of us are fearful of presenting. So many of us want to present, need to present, don't know how to present. So let me give you a couple of tips of what you can do in order to get better in the presentation overall, and some of them are more logical, known overall, might not even help you. I'm not saying that all that I'm sharing with you is helpful. I can't promise you that. But hey, it is really about you being able to, maybe one of those tips helps you a lot. And I would be happy if you share your experiences in this Facebook Live, in the comment box where there are no comments yet. So let me just write down as well, share, I shouldn't say that anymore, your comments or questions so that I can answer them for you, because your question is important to me. Yay! So I have to put this out because not everybody is here right now. All those people who need to listen to this video are not yet here. So it would be awesome if there would be more people coming in, okay? But let me share with you some tricks. Some of them are NLP tricks. Others are not NLP tricks, just normal things. Choose a topic you know. It sounds like a very, very normal thing. Why should you not choose a topic that you know? Sometimes it happened to me as well, a long time back before NLP. I was invited to a presentation about a topic which was called business process outsourcing. I wanted to present, hey, it was in Singapore, I could travel from Malaysia to Singapore. That would be lovely. Hey, the company that invited me to present, the conference organizers, they paid everything, hotel plus flight and all that stuff. Of course I wanted to present. I had no idea. And in the company that I worked with on business process outsourcing, and the company sent me to that presentation because the company was engaged as well in business process outsourcing. So what I had a training, a preparation from somebody from the US calling me up, sending me slides, calling me up, guiding me through all the individual slides and what I would need to say. And I took lots of notes. Challenge was, it wasn't the topic that I'm really good at. It wasn't the topic that I would like to talk about. It wasn't a topic I had no idea about. And again, as I described earlier to you, I stumbled, I struggled. It was one of the worst presentations ever. I sometimes like to say, most likely it's false, but it felt like it. I finished the presentation in 2 minutes, 30 slides. I raced through it. And I realized about halfway through, I lose the audiences, I lost myself. I just click, talk. Some slides I couldn't say anything, so I just flipped through it. Some slides I just read from it. The worst case you can do is reading from a slide. Maybe I even turned away from the audience, and I was like, awful. I nearly said awesome, awful. So really. So the audience was nice enough so to allow me to restart my presentation. Somewhere was a magic happening. I was able to rewind myself and say, hey, can I just start again? I just lost myself badly in this presentation. Can I restart again? And luckily they were friendly enough and said, okay, start again. And I was like still struggling through. They ultimately said like, it was not a bad presentation, they said. I got good ratings, interestingly. Inside me, I knew it was terrible, okay? It is still stuck in my head somewhere along that as a very, very interesting memory to have. So that's why I at least can share about it. Still what it felt. So choose a topic you know. It's really so important that people know what you are talking about, that you know what you are talking about. Also, get away. Oh yeah, that's earlier. That's the wrong one. Prepare. It sounds funny and strange and whatever. But if you have anxiety or if you have a fear of presentation because you are not prepared, your mind has all the right to freak out because your mind is protecting you. It's the highest function of the unconscious mind, the highest function of the brain to protect you, to not expose you to fear, not expose you to criticism. And you have learned not to get into uncomfortable situation. Your mind is protecting you. So if you are not prepared, of course, automatically, it simply means your mind is protecting you. If you have the anxiety, then your mind has all the rights to feel scared overall. It's natural, isn't it? Next tip, of course, it sounds a bit strange. But get away from PowerPoint. Really, get away from the PowerPoint. So many people use PowerPoint, but the challenge is, if you have the fear inside of you coming up, there's a tendency you turn around, you look at the PowerPoint because it makes you feel safer, and then it's really hard to ever move away from it to face your audiences again. So that's a really tough part to say. But get away from PowerPoint or Keynote. Speak freely from your heart, or if you have to use PowerPoint, as little text as possible. Because once you get sucked into the PowerPoint presentation while you have the fear rising within yourself, it is hard. I tell you from experiences, you know. And I was standing in front of an audience one time and I had to speak. And I started to feel the fear. And I saw the PowerPoint presentation. There was a slide moving over. And the moment I started to read the slide, I felt better. But then there is this disconnect to the audience. And you can't catch them anymore. And once you start reading the slides, first of all, it's hard to turn around and face the audience anymore as well. You lose your flow that you might have just captured. And it's really hard to get away from the PowerPoint and start speaking fluently ultimately again. So get away from PowerPoint or Keynote if you can. Or if you need to use it, just use some slides with mainly images and a few words so that you are forced to talk to it, not about it. Know your outcome. Really, know your outcome of a presentation. How would you know that you feel good about a presentation? How would you know that the audience reached the outcome? It's an NLP communication thing. It's an NLP, one of the success strategies. Always know your outcome of what you want to achieve. Do you want to have a good time? Do you want to create business relationship? Do you want to enhance your skills? Do you want to get to meet people? What is your outcome of a presentation? Also, it is so important that you do know that it sounds like very interesting, very slow. Hey, welcome to all of you watching here right now. Let me know who is here. I can't see who is here right now. Would be wonderful if you say who you are so I can say hello to you and give you an air five. Yay, it would be lovely. So I would know who you are. Please introduce yourself in the comment box. And hey, if you choose, you can also like the video or give a comment or invite your friends over. It would be lovely if you could do that. I was just talking about master your breathing. Sounds so important, right? It's always good to never forget your breathing. It's good to breathe. That's the one thing. But when we are anxious, when we have the fear within us, the fear starts gripping us, our breathing gets more and more shallow. Sometimes it's okay to just stop and start focusing on your breathing. It's okay when you're flipping a slide or when you want to add on a new point. Stay quietly for a moment and just take a deep breath in. And then breathe out. And because the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you could come. And again, together with your outcome, at that point of time you say to yourself in your mind, I want to relax. I want to catch myself. And you're mastering breathing. And if you're really good at it, even in the preparation for a presentation, start breathing while you're preparing a presentation calmly and relaxed. Because once you do that, your mind gets used to breathing related to calmness, and it goes like this in a normal presentation, in a normal situation. Challenge your beliefs. What scares you? Why are you so scared about a presentation? Really, it takes a bit more time to think through of why you could, for example, have the fear in you at that point of time when you are presenting. But challenge the beliefs. What do you think about an audience? What do you think about yourself? Do you believe you are not a good speaker? Do you believe you are not trained enough to speak? Everybody, even I, started to have a first Facebook Live. Everybody had a first time and I'm in front of a camera. I had no idea what to say. I froze away. I remember vividly when I was in Singapore in a market research agency and I had to say 2 or 3 sentences on CNBC to present some research findings on a weekly basis. Initially, it freaked me out. I stumbled across because I thought I can use papers to read from it. But no, the camera was in my face. And the moderator was next to me and I had to look at her and I had to answer the question, and it freaked me out because I couldn't say anything anymore. Suddenly I realized, whoa, millions of people might watch that. And it was terrible initially, but I captured myself very, very quickly. It was really fun ultimately to speak in front of CNBC as well. Never got a clip of that, but it was pretty cool, So it's really good to challenge your own beliefs that you do have. Thank you very much for joining in. Let me know who you are. Challenge your beliefs about yourself when you are presenting, because you are just the same person as anybody else. Anybody else is just like you, and they might actually admire you that you are able to stand on stage and speak, or that you are the one person who can present so magnificently. Thank you for the likes. Love you guys. Thank you. Please let me know who you are. I have no idea who you are, who I'm speaking to, but you are valuable to me. Yay! One of the most important things you can do is always think about the value you are providing to your audience. They are there for you. They are there to listen to you. They want to learn something. So please provide value. Give everything you can. Prepare yourself. What is something the audience would like to know from you? What is something they don't know? And give that value freely. And because if you know it, again, it means you had prepared yourself. So if you are able to provide value, you have thought about what you can give them. You must have prepared yourself. And that means you talked about a topic. All of those are linked together. All of those are linked together. So it means you provide value. And the moment you see smiles in the audience, there's people taking notes dramatically much. You know you're on the right track, and it calms you down. I promise you that. The next point, and it's easy said, but just remember, it could be just a conversation. Imagine you just talk to, and that's the scary part right now. Imagine you're talking to only one person. Watch out on that one, because that's what I learned as well. Now here comes an additional trick. Have a conversation. In presentation skills training, they teach you just focus on one person and talk to them. The challenge is with me one time, I was standing there, I was presenting, and I had the challenge of how do I calm myself down. So I found somebody in front of the audience, and I just talked the whole time, 20 minutes or so, to this one poor lady. I couldn't bring my eyes away because she was nice, she was friendly, she smiled away, she nodded her head, and I thought like, wow, my friend. And again, I was so frozen in my own beating myself up thought circus in my mind. I had a hard time to move out of it. And this poor lady, she had to tolerate my staring at her the whole time while I talked. That's one more thing that I want to share with you, and it's important. The thing that I want to share with you is really, really, really about visualization. See, what is important to realize, dreams do come true. When I say visualization, it really, really, really means that you play out your presentation in your mind. It has something to do with the presentation, with the preparation, of course. But you are playing it out in your mind, how you are preparing yourself for the presentation. You're really playing it out the way you want to have it done. Imagine yourself that you are presenting. Imagine yourself looking at the audiences. Imagine yourself interacting with the audiences. Imagine how the audience is smiling at you, and make the changes inside here in the visuals and the auditors. Are they clapping? Are they clapping so you do know they love what you are hearing? Are they smiling away? Do you see engagement? And remember, you can't engage everybody. Out of 400 people or 100 people or even 50 or 20 people, not everybody will be engaged. But just imagine some people are engaged and you have a conversation with them. Let your eyes sway across your audiences and look around. You don't need to always look at them, but you can look across them. Speak to the person in the back of the room. But all of that you need to visualize, because dreams do come true, which means automatically, as dreams do come true, your mind cannot differentiate between reality and imagination. And if you imagine strong enough, that simply means your mind, at the moment of time and you are standing up and you need to speak to the audience, as your mind realizes, whoa, you had it before. And that is so important, you have had it before. Your mind feels good about it. And it knows already that situation. It feels comfortable and it gives you the sense of calmness. And then you are starting to speak. Before you speak, maybe do the breathing techniques. I was just sharing with you the deep breathing in. Not so loud as I do here right now. Just 2-3 breathers. And then you allow yourself to speak. Now what you should not do, and I want to quote this guy, John P. Carter, and he's a professor. He must be smart then, okay? But he said, we worry about appearing awkward in a presentation. But up to a point, and of course up to a point is important, because if you are too awkward, if you're too nervous, you might mess it up. But he said up to a point, most people seem to feel more comfortable with less than perfect speaking abilities. It makes a person more human and more vulnerable, meaning he's less likely to attack our decisions or belief. So the audience, looking at somebody who is a little bit nervous, a little bit more awkward, might actually feel comfortable around that person compared to this polished speaker who is always perfect along that line. And when the speaker is like having a couple of thoughts and a couple of stuff going in, a couple of hiccups may be happening, not too many of course, or he shows his nervousness every now and then, he is less than human. And that simply means the audience can relate to him or her and has much more tolerance. And that's why people say, for example, a Facebook Live, you don't need to be perfect, because the audience is you here listening right now. Have much more patience with me here right now, maybe messing up every now and then and stumbling across. Now to me, of course, hey, me today, I would say take it easy and be spontaneous in your presentations. There was a time when I was freaking myself out. There was a time I had a presentation and I had to speak about Gen Weilers. I'm not sure if any Gen Weilers, so-called Gen Weilers, is listening to this one here right now. But I was at a conference and I had to speak about how to manage Gen Weilers. And speaker number 1, speaker number 2 talked about the different people in the different categories, like baby boomers and Gen Weilers and whatever else we do have, and how they are clashing in the workplace. And I realized, whoa, speaker 1, speaker 2 is pretty much the same topic. And me too. I was speaker number 3. I would have come just before lunch. I think I came after lunch. I don't know anymore. And I realized, wow, if I say the same thing again as speaker number 1 and 2 before me, my audience would freak out, because, hey, they paid for the speech. So spontaneously like that, I had to change the topic. I stood up and I told the audience that everything has been said about baby boomers and Gen Weilers and Gen Xers and Gen whatever it is that they need to know. And now let me talk about communications strategies. So for 20 minutes, I just made up spontaneously created a presentation in the nick of time for 1 or 2 minutes. While I was standing up, I walked on stage. There was a caller on stage. And I said, let's do something totally different. And it was a real good presentation. I had so much fun. The audience had so much fun. It was such a huge engagement. So you have to be easy and spontaneous. It doesn't matter if you freak out. It doesn't matter if you're nervous. You can mention it to the audience. People are tolerant. People are nice. People know how you feel when you are on stage. People can relate to you, because we all have been in the same situation of being worried and scared about standing up and feeling worried about a presentation. So this is really the important part of really knowing what it takes to go overcoming your presentation fear. Now, of course, if you know NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, you know how to manage your mind. And that makes it so much easier. If you go away from all these talks that I had right now and you really learn NLP with a good company, and it's of course Asia Mind Dynamics. I really, really, really would love to see you at Asia Mind Dynamics as a training participant, to really be with us. And we are working on your fears. We are working on your negative emotions. We are working on how can you bring your message straight to the audiences. We are teaching you how do you manage the stage as easy as possible in our NLP certifications training, because it is really, really, really easy, so that you too can have lots and lot of fun when you are presenting, so that whatever situation is, wherever you are, whenever you are, you have no issue whatsoever, just simply standing up and saying what do you think could be the value for your audience at that point of time. And I hope to see you. But until then, I also, of course, hope to see you in our online Facebook session, basically. Not online. In our online, wow, how to say? See, I'm stumbling right now, okay? In our online course overall. The online course, which is called Attract Success into Your Personal and Professional Life. And you can still see me. I gotta change that one day, okay? And the link to this one, you can go to our website. On our website, you can see the link below. Get your free course now at AsiaMindDynamics.com. There's a free online training. Or you follow this link through here as easy as possible, and that will guide you to the right side so that you too can learn how to attract success into your life. Because it would be lovely if more people would become successful. Let me just widen this one a bit. If more people can become successful, if more people learn how to manage their mind, it's not being taught in school. And in school, we should learn how to present. In school, we should learn how to communicate. Nobody does it. If you come to my website, if you come to AsiaMindDynamics.com, or if you join us in my online membership website and the Master Academy, you for sure learn how to communicate. You for sure learn how to manage your mind the best way possible. So join in there. And also, of course, along that line, I hope I see you in one of our NLP certifications training. And until I see you, I wish you all the luck. Create your life now. Bye-bye. Yeah.